Welcome to the Daniel Speaks podcast, where ancient wisdom meets modern ambition. I'm Daniel, and this show is about evolving in all realms, spiritually, financially, mentally, and culturally. Each episode, we dive into ideas that challenge conventional thinking, build conscious wealth, and strengthen your connection to what really matters. Sometimes it's a deep Torah takeaway, sometimes it's a conversation with a top performer in their field, and sometimes it's just me unpacking what's on my mind. If you're someone who wants to grow, think independently, and live with intention, you're in the right place. If you enjoy the show, make sure to follow, share, or leave a review. And most importantly, take what resonates and put it into action. Let's get into it. Welcome to Reflections, a space on the Daniel Speaks podcast for soul-first thinking, Torah wisdom, and spiritual clarity. This is about anchoring to what truly matters. Today's mitzvah focuses on the severity of inciting another Jew to worship idols and steering them away from their connection with Hashem. The Torah's approach to an inciter is uncompromising. There is no room for mercy when dealing with someone who actively tries to lead others astray. The repetition in these commandments emphasizes that the incitement is one of the most destructive forces capable of completely redirecting someone's spiritual path. In a modern context, this concept is especially relevant. We live in a world filled with diverse ideologies, belief systems, and cultural influences that can subtly or overtly pull us away from Hashem. The Western world, in particular, is a melting pot of philosophies, religions, and secular values, many of which contain elements of idolatry. These influences may not always be obvious or intentional, but they are pervasive. Therefore, the challenge is to remain spiritually vigilant and maintain a strong connection to Hashem despite these external pressures. Maintaining unwavering devotion to Hashem is not easy, even without external influences. Life struggles test our faith, and modern society constantly exposes us to values and practices that conflict with Torah principles. True commitment requires constant self-examination. Are my daily actions aligned with Torah values? Am I unknowingly influenced by ideas that weaken my connection to Hashem? Remaining steadfast in faith means actively rejecting anything that conflicts with Torah, no matter how subtle or socially acceptable it may seem. The Torah generally advocates mercy, even towards sinners. However, an inciter is an exception because they threaten not just an individual, but the spiritual foundation of future generations. Their influence is contagious. It can spread into societal norms, making idolatry or anti-Torah values seem normal. This is why the Torah takes such a strict stance to prevent a small deviation from growing into widespread corruption. Unlike other legal cases where Jewish courts seek leniency, cases involving incitement to idol worship demand strict justice. The Torah prohibits defending an inciter or hiding evidence that could lead to their conviction. That tells us just how seriously idolatry is treated in Jewish law. A false prophet distorts Hashem's message, whether by falsely claiming to speak in his name or by spreading teachings that contradict the Torah. Following a false prophet rewrites divine truth and introduces spiritual confusion. That's why the Torah warns against them so strongly. The subconscious mind absorbs everything. Even casually mentioning the names of idols or engaging in conversations that normalize idolatrous concepts can have a slow but dangerous effect on one's spiritual state. Judaism commands complete separation from idol worship, including verbal and mental distancing. It's easy to assume these mitzvot are outdated, but the truth is, societies today are just as susceptible to spiritual corruption as in ancient times. History has shown that in times of crisis, people often revert to dangerous ideologies and practices. The Torah warns us to be proactive in safeguarding our faith and preventing these influences from taking root. A physical wound heals over time, but spiritual corruption can affect generations. When a person allows idolatrous or anti-Torah influences into their life, it impacts their relationship with Hashem and ripples outward to those around them. One person's deviation could influence a family, a community, and eventually an entire society. Small compromises lead to cultural shifts, turning what was once unacceptable into a social norm. We see this today in various ways, whether in the casual use of Hashem's name in vain, the blending of secular and religious values, or the normalization of behaviors that contradict Torah. What starts as an individual compromise often leads to a broader spiritual decline. Honoring Hashem means upholding the truth of his Torah without distortion. In a world where truth is often subjective and constantly redefined, it is critical to remain anchored in Hashem's eternal wisdom. This requires setting clear spiritual boundaries with oneself and others, being aware of subtle influences that can weaken faith, and constantly reinforcing Torah values in thought, speech, and action. Think of your relationship with Hashem as you would with a beloved child or an elder in your care. You would never allow someone dangerous to come near them. Likewise, you must protect your spiritual connection by being mindful of the influences around you. Just as a child follows their parent, Hashem follows you. Wherever you go, He is with you. Stay committed to His truth. Do not allow it to be diluted by external pressures or personal compromises. Through diligence and awareness, you can maintain the purity of your faith and strengthen your bond with Hashem. If this reflection spoke to you, share it with someone walking the same path. Growth happens together, and it starts from within.